Ha ha! It worked. All right, cool. What's going on, good people of the internet? It is time for OnComicsGrounds.com's flagship podcast, Panel to Panel, where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. We are here live once again on twitch.tv/OnComicsGround to bring you the latest and greatest comic book news and everything we want to talk about. So, we are here right now. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at on Comics Ground for all of the latest news and reviews. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at PTP_podcast. All right. So, to my left, we have the man who is really angry at Tom King right now, apparently.
I'm
Travis, how you doing?
always. I'm always. I used to love the man, but now it's like I feel like I've been cheated on.
What? All right. And then to my right, the woman who went and saw the kitchen this evening. How you doing, Miss Mary?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So let's get into our opening topic, which is DC apparently had a little bit of a slip up this past week where they shipped out a bunch of comics and now is asking retailers to destroy every copy they have of Superman number 14 and Supergirl number 33. I apologize. And it's because of the fact that apparently the covers of the books do not coincide with the events currently going on in the books. And that's kind of crazy that they just flat out want to destroy the copies. I didn't fully understand it. It didn't make any sense to me, though I do see this as something that can end up being a problem later on, because if a random shop just keeps that book around for whatever reason and it floats into the secondary market, that's going to be a hot item for a hot minute.
Well, um, here's the thing about that is that if Diamond finds out or did not coincide with their request, that store could lose their Diamond contract.
Ooh.
When I was working at the comic book store, I've had to destroy covers before. And by destroy the cover, it basically just means you're ripping the cover off of the book.
Oh, God, that's so horrible.
That's
Out of
just
10,
cruel.
9 times out of 10, the barcode is on the front of the book. And even if it's not, nobody's going to want to buy a book without a cover.
True. That's so tragic.
Like,
wow.
when a comic comes in damaged and you have to return it to Diamond, all you're doing is sending back the covers. You don't actually send back the book because it would cost too much.
Yeah.
The counter at the store, and I would just rip covers off damages.
Oh.
So the big reason that they're ordering the copies destroyed, or not ordering but asking, is that they are technically considered misprints, and they want to keep misprints off the market. There's I remember when I was working at the store, there was a copy of Saga that was misprinted. There was a copy of Justice League that was printed with the wrong cover.
Oh.
While rare, it is not unheard of. But the fact that it looks like the main and the variant covers.
Ooh.
Don't super quote me on that, but from what I'm reading, it appears that it could be the main and the variant covers that are getting yanked.
That's going to be expensive.
But I think what's interesting is that DC is replacing all of the issues at no cost. The retailers are basically going to see a credit on their Diamond account.
Oh.
They don't have to do that.
Yeah, they could just totally make like.
It's nice to see that they are doing it, because sometimes the publishers are just nice to retail outlets.
Okay.
But I have never actually seen a request for this widespread.
Well, what bothers me is that this isn't the first time.
But like you said, if any of these covers make it to those would go up in price.
Oh, they would definitely would. It would just start shooting up. What bothers me the most about this is that if you look at the past, like I think ever like the past few years of DC, there's been multiple covers that like show things that aren't actually happening in the book. Like I remember during Brian Edward Hill's arc on Detective, there was literally like a cover where Black Lightning, Katana, and Batman were going to fight the remnants of Brainiac, and they didn't end up doing that in the issue, even though the solicitation said they were going to. And it was like, okay. So, like...
Production rush.
Well, the thing was, they never ended up like having any interaction with Brainiac during that arc. So it was just really weird that happened. So either it was a situation similar to the whole writing change of Justice League Odyssey. That's another book that went through like huge changes before it launched, or I don't even know.
I mean, huge parts of Odyssey were rewritten.
Yeah, I'm surprised that book is still on shelves.
Honestly, you and me both.
I wanted it to be so good because the idea of like a space Justice League just like rang out like this is totally just like DC giving me my Ultimates back, but like in a new form. But then like it doesn't look like it's going anywhere, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But no, Travis, what do you think about the situation?
Honestly, I'm probably the odd man out. I would not be destroying that cover at all. No way. No way. Just because it's like getting a misprinted Honus Wagner, you know what I mean? It could be one of those issues later on in life, but I don't know. It's I find it odd that they're encouraging the destruction of the piece, even though they don't want. I understand they don't want it on the market because of different fluctuations in pricing and all that stuff, but that's kind of the beauty of collecting. That's what happens. It's par for the course, you know. So having it destroyed kind of feels.
Unfortunately, that's a huge diamond regulation.
It's so weird.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, with the damages, we would have to rip off the covers, and we would send the covers to Diamond, and they would look through it. The actual books, the actual like damaged copies of the books, just dumpster.
Oh, that just hurts my soul.
Even if all the damage was on the cover, so.
Yeah. I just like the idea
And because
of comic books being hurt like that. Like, oh.
It hurts. It hurts deep.
Collector I am, and I have probably ripped the covers off of hundreds of books.
Doesn't that like hurt your soul, like doing that shit though?
And what we had to do to the returnable Rebirth books, because it was the same thing.
Oh.
You rip the covers off and you send it back. That's what it means by returnable. You don't just send the whole book back. Oh no.
That's just painful, fam.
So, yep, there's a lot of cover ripping going on at your favorite comic book store.
Ugh.
Like you just get like a chill up your spine thinking about the idea of books being violated like that.
First time I had to do it, it was so difficult.
Where you
it was just like I can't do this.
It's like you're pointing a gun at like a helpless child. You're just like, I can't. It's horrible. And then you feel for these things. Like you feel for these books that people put love and effort into. Like
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like exposes one of those weird things about the industry that you don't know about, and then you're just like, oh.
It's also a huge waste of paper.
It really is. Like not only are like the back issues that are like overprinted like a waste of paper, but you're just like tearing them apart and just ugh.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, from there we're gonna move into the other topic, one of our other topics of the evening, which is so last week I recommended that everyone and their mama should go watch Amazon Prime's new series, The Boys, based off the Wildstorm comic book, which now is the Dynamite comic book, because it was bought by Dynamite, the property. And Oh, I wonder if anyone listened to me, because somehow within the past 2 weeks it has become Amazon Prime's most binged watched show, and that is insane. Like that, like the idea of this comic book show being that popular just blows my mind. And now they're already tweeting out pictures of them filming next season, and it blows my mind. Mary has not had a chance to check it out, but Travis, you've been binging this past week, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
How you feel about this?
Oh, I'm in love personally. But like to be fair, this is coming from a huge Mark Wade's Irredeemable fan.
Ooh.
So it it's a stepping stone for me for Irredeemable to have this such a grim dark world be so interesting. It's great, and it opens the door for other comic book shows to have the same kind of tone. And
Like
that's what I'm really excited for.
it definitely it almost like it reminds you of the gruesomeness of Deadpool, but then it ramps it up even higher, where it's just like, and I mentioned it last week. Someone had asked me if it was like like Punisher, but worse when it comes to like violence, and I'm like, no, it's more of like Watchmen, but written competently. Like where it's not written in the most psychopathic way, it's written to like expose the problems that could be seen if superheroes were actually celebrities. And like I keep making the joke, which it's semi a spoiler, but you never feel the same way again until you see like a man, an invisible man explode from a bomb in his ass. Like
Plastique.
it transforms you into a new person. Like but
It's so good.
But you're going through this show and you see the struggle of this guy who loses everything and then wants to get revenge like against these superheroes, the Seven, and you see how the like this corporation has like militarized the superheroes into the ultimate celebrities, but also into the ultimate weapons, to the point that they're trying to lobby Congress to allow them to be a part of the military. And you're just like, that's a really bad idea. Like the
But
idea,
it's super common in comics, though. That the idea of superheroes being government agents is definitely huge.
it happened this week,
Yeah.
and like, and you're mad about it. That he's gonna cry because Top
I'm
King
already
hurts him
crying.
again.
I'm already crying. I'm already doing it.
But no, and you watch this series and like you kind of feel like the big example of like the new hero of freaking, I can't think. This is what happens when you binge a show all in one night and then you forget shit. Starlight. It's like Starlight being the new hero and going out there and trying to be the best she can be. It feels like a lot of people who just start getting into superhero comics or have been in superhero comics and like have those perfect ideals for a long time, but then you read like one dark comic book or like have one bad experience reading a book, and then you realize that everything isn't just like black and white, and you're just like, whoa, this is a horrible landscape that we're in. And you see the corruption for what it is, and it blows your mind.
Oh man. Whew. So
So
what was some of your favorite like grim dark stuff going on in the show, James?
I think for me, the one that hit me like a freight train was this. Like there's this scene where like ironically enough, the super speedster A Train and ends up doing something very tragic because he wants to keep the secret of what he's doing wrong like secret, and he has to hurt the person he loves, and it's so heartbreaking. But like you see it coming a mile away. You thought it was gonna happen like an episode ago, but then it happens the way it does, and you're just like, damn. And then like there's one really messed up moment that like it there's two involving the Aquaman archetype where you feel for him like somewhat, but then you remember he was a scumbag earlier, and you're just like, I can't.
I don't feel bad for that fool at all.
Oh, bro,
I don't feel bad for that fool at all.
Just wait, and like it just like you want to feel for him, but then you're like, oh, I can't, man. You did some bad stuff. I can't do it.
It's funny that you mentioned that because like my favorite part of the show so far is the sit down conversation that Homelander has with the Deep.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
oh my god! And it is so great. He just shoulder rubs. And he's like, "Yeah, we don't need to have this conversation anymore, do we?"
He's like,
No,
no, man, no, it's cool.
no, no,
It's
no,
cool.
no. Do you think I'm stupid, Deep?
No,
No.
Homelander,
You're
it
the
doesn't think that
smartest
way.
guy, man. Like,
Which the
you know,
inferiority complex on Homelander alone is just mind blowing.
oh yeah. It's so intense, dude. He has to like assert dominance in such a manner like to where like he even disapproves of being feared. I think that's what threw me off pretty hard.
Like he goes out of his way to make sure like everyone's on his side, even though he's doing the worst of things. And then
Yeah.
like actually no, I take it back. There's one scene in this entire show that will leave you scarred for the rest of your days. Like, have you gotten to the airplane yet, Travis?
I have not, but
Oh.
I don't care if you spoil it because I have read the comics, so I know what you're talking about.
I don't want to spoil it for Mary because Mary's gonna hurt too. But like seeing two of the like of our heroes like in archetype form doing this is just gonna be like, oh my heart, and like it makes you hate Homelander so much. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah. Like before you knew he was an asshat, but now you're just like, oh, you're just wrong,
Bro.
You're just wrong
You're
on
the
every
worst.
level of the book.
You're literally the worst person. Like,
and then he keeps ramping it up, and you keep learning about how he's just this fickle little child. And then the end of the season drops, and you're like, oh, so this is where we're going? Oh, okay. Let's see what happens next. And then we can't. And I hate it.
well, it's funny that you mentioned the fickle little child part of this because, like, when you think about Homelander, you know, they were all tested like when they were kids, you know, to get their powers and such. And you find out, like, if you figure out greatly as a physical or a visual example, rather, that when you have the power of someone like Homelander, do you really have to grow up?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of like, it's very indicative throughout all the heroes, especially like Translucent, for example. Like, that dude is literally a glorified, invincible peeping Tom in his personality.
Yeah. That is the best way to phrase that possible. Oh my god. Wow, you hit the nail on the head there. And then like and like the Deep is just like I changed my previous statement. The Deep is the one with the inferiority complex. Homelander is just a psychopath. Like the Deep is the one who like literally like tries to act like he's all that in a bag of chips, and then is the reason why we need a trigger warning like 3 different times, and it's just like, ugh. And
Yeah.
I do. My heart breaks for Queen Maeve, though. My heart breaks for that poor girl. Like, she tries so hard to be the Wonder Woman of the team, and she just can't. Like, she tries so hard, but like, Homelander's
Just so
like,
disillusioned. She's just so sick of the whole thing. It is so obvious. I liked that, honestly.
Oh,
I think Mary's gonna love that character.
Oh, Mary is literally gonna cling to Queen Maeve for all that she is. Not only because she's the Wonder Woman character, but also because of like other things that happen. And you're just like, Maeve, I want to see you succeed. And it's just like, Maeve, do good. I need you to do good, but you're not doing good. And it's just, it hurts your soul.
Yeah. I think another a really heartbreaking part of that whole show too was like the hero's journey that Starlight went through.
Yes.
Oh my god. I was so devastated how she was just like, I can't, why are you guys like this? And then suddenly she's like that, and I'm like, no, please don't do this.
And it's like the wake up call she enters, where not only she realizes that the heroes are scum, but like everybody is scum, and it just hits you like a truck, where it's just like, wow, everything I thought I knew was wrong but I'm still gonna be a hero regardless. You gain so much respect for her for that.
Oh, it's so like the stuff that she puts herself through is like just so next level. Just for the sake of I want to be a good hero and I want to do good for people, and
Yes.
it's just like yeah. Her whole philosophy, I guess, throughout the show was just like this is unrealistic.
Also, I gotta say, shout out to the Deep's caretaker when he goes to Ohio, because he said Akron was a shithole, and I was like, damn, I'm from there, and I feel you, but damn. Because what happened? They end up exiling the Deep to Sandusky, Ohio. And they're like, we got Cedar Point at the Deep. You could have a ribbon cutting for the new water park. And it's like, no, don't do that, Deep. You're better than that. You're scum, but you're better than that.
That's got to be the worst though ever.
Being asked to support SeaWorld and all that shit. That has to be annoying as a water superhero. And then
I remember him.
Oh no, go for it.
I remember him talking about that, where it's like, anytime it's a water issue, I'm the only one that they call.
A lake,
if it's a lake, they call me.
Now, granted, I like though that they don't beat the whole he's a water hero thing over your head, they're trying to make him Aquaman joke kind of thing. But they play it up enough where he's almost self-deprecating to himself rather than the audience or the fans being that way to him.
Right.
So that was the cool thing there. So Travis, do you think the average person should watch The Boys?
Define average.
Like the casual who watches the CW shows.
If they're tired of all the camp in the CW shows, definitely, because this is a whole 180 and then just headfirst dive, no hands in front of you, into the darkness that can be the superhero realm.
Okay. So now someone like Mary, who has all the information in the world from her years of reading, do you think she will enjoy this?
I honestly don't know.
Oh wow, okay. Why is that?
It's because the show is super duper doodly, and the women kind of take a huge side burner, and I'm really curious to hear what she has to say about that.
Okay. See, I agree with you on Maeve, but the main business lady and Starlight kind of dominate their episodes a lot. So I don't know if I agree with that statement.
Okay, hold on. What'd you say?
I don't know if I agree with that statement because the main business lady and Starlight kind of dominate their episodes when they're in them.
Okay, I get that, but she's a lot like an Amanda Waller, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
She's a real tough woman in a man's world.
Okay, that's fair.
And then with Starlight, she's a really innocent girl who has a lot of growing up to do and is learning it through the evils of men, which is kind of frighteningly accurate to her backstory.
Okay.
Ugh.
Well then, Mary, you will have to report back once you have time to watch this show.
Well.
All right. So, but the one thing that Mary did did do this week was she went and saw the brand new movie The Kitchen, which is based off of a DC Vertigo book. And Mary, how did you feel about The Kitchen?
Well, like you said, The Kitchen is based off of the DC Vertigo book of the same name from Ollie Masters and Ming Doyle. Good fan of the Vertigo book when it was coming out, and so when I heard a couple years back that it was in development, I was really excited.
Okay.
We didn't really hear much about it as production was going on, but I caught the news earlier this week that critics did not love it. But I bit the bullet and I went to see it, and I think probably a little too harsh, but they have valid critiques. The first act of the movie is really pretty choppy. You can tell that it was really ripped apart in the editing process. And as we know from previous films, Warner Brothers has a habit of doing this, where they take a product and they chop it all to hell. It ultimately affects the overall quality of the movie. I think the last movie that, the last big movie they did where we didn't really hear about that was Crazy Rich Asians. If they did leave it alone, look how well it did. So that's my critique about the first act of the film, is that it's really choppy. Things kind of happen out of nowhere. You get individual motivation, but scenes where it was all tying together, that's clearly missing. Movie absolutely picks up in the second and third acts, because there is a scene where Barracuda by the band Heart starts to play, and that's when the movie picks up from there, is when Heart does Barracuda.
Nice.
It is the story of three Irish mob wives whose husbands are sent to prison, and they are left by themselves. The Irish gang says they're going to take care of them, but basically gives them, no money.
Oh.
Yeah. Instead of just kind of rolling over and accepting it, the three of them say, fuck it, and decide to do things for themselves. The names of the three women in the movie are changed from the comic, because in the comic, it's Kathy, Raven, and Angie. In the movie, it's Kathy, who is played by Melissa McCarthy, played by Tiffany Haddish, and Claire, who is played by Elizabeth Moss. That was the first of many changes in the film. It is a decent adaptation. It is a true adaptation, where it is not page for page, but the heart and soul of the original product is there.
All right.
It has an audience score of about 71% last time I checked, and that's a fair rating. It's good. It's not great. On the car ride home, I was talking with my wife, and she said that she feels like there's a director's cut floating out in the ether somewhere.
We need a Snyder cut of the kitchen.
We do. But like I said, the second act is great. The third act is a wonderfully done mob movie. Tiffany Haddish is the absolute standout performance of this movie, because up until this point, she's been doing a lot of comedic acting. And don't get me wrong, I think she is hysterical.
She gets kind of burned out half the time for me.
But The Kitchen, there's really nothing comedic about her performance. There are a few moments of an offhanded joke or levity, and they don't come from her. They come from McCarthy and Moss to a smaller extent. But Tiffany Haddish is all business in this movie, and she does it really well.
All right.
If you're looking to go see, a movie for the afternoon, I recommend The Kitchen. You don't expect The Godfather, but it's not a terrible film. From what I've seen, Ollie Masters and Ming Doyle were really happy with the movie, and if the creators are happy, that was a good indication to me that the heart and soul of the movie is there. My spoiler-free critique of The Kitchen. It's a good time.
No alcohol required?
All required. There's a lot of shooting, though. Some reviews that I read saw that the movie, they claimed the movie is gruesome. And really no more gruesome than something you'd see in a standard rated R movie.
Okay.
Minor, tiny spoiler, my favorite scene from the comic did make it into the movie, and I was very excited.
All right.
Comic, they get one of the Irish mob guys to team up with them, and he teaches them how to cut up a body, and taking it out and dumping it in the water. And that scene is in the movie, but you don't actually see him cutting up the body.
Dang.
Scene, and I'm glad it made it into the movie, and I was very happy about that. But if you're looking for a badass lady film that isn't, or anything like that, it's, pardon my language, but it's bitches doing it for themselves. So
hey, there you go. All right. Well, I will need to see this movie at some point because it sounds amazing. Because I need more like good comic stuff in my life right now. Like we've been struggling for a hot minute, and segue. Apparently, DC's struggling too. So into our main topic of the evening. It was noted recently in interviews with Jim Lee that DC Comics is becoming very stagnant with their digital sales. So apparently, Jim Lee said in an interview that because of DC Universe, their streaming app, where they have things like Doom Patrol Titans, and also they have their comic books, basically from a year ago back to their like beginning age comics, are available.
Basically from 38 to 2018.
Wow. Wow.
Much of the they have as much of their golden age stuff as they can.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot of years. And like basically all of that plus TV shows and movies for $7 a month, and and the idea of it hitting DC's digital bottom line kind of makes sense, because not only do people seem to prefer the Netflix model for their comic books or just their entertainment in general, but not everybody has the ability to throw out 10, 20, 30, $40 a week, let alone a month, for comic books, which is why a lot of the industry is struggling across the board. So to see this this announcement, it isn't much of a surprise to me. It's not like any surprise whatsoever, because I knew when this came out, when DC Universe was a thing, that the minute they went, we had this conversation on a previous episode, I believe, where we knew the minute DC went to all of their collection, their sales were going to take a bit of a hit.
And from what I remember, Marvel's digital sales did take a bit of a hit when they released Marvel Unlimited, because that's on a 6-month delay, I believe.
Yes. Which I wonder why DC decided to do a year and not 6 months.
Probably to try and keep their digital sales current.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think the biggest problem with DC Universe, and I do have a DC Universe subscription, but I'm trying to kind of, speak objectively here, or subjectively. The price is too low, and it offers too many things. You get Doom Patrol, Titans, Swamp Thing for the moment, Stargirl's almost out, Harley Quinn is almost out. So I mean, you've got 5 original shows right there. Not to mention whatever they have in their library. They just siphoned off a bunch of movies that are probably getting shuffled over to HBO Max when that launches.
They just dropped Watchmen onto the service.
They just dropped Watchmen. So I mean, you're getting all of that plus 80 plus years of their remaining comic library onto this service, $1 a month. So there's too much for overprice.
Like, they're going out of their way to make sure that every new animated movie, surprisingly, except for Hush has not come out on the app yet. But like when Justice League versus the Fatal Five dropped, it was on DC Universe the same day. So while like I do agree with you that like this thing is very cheap, and it's probably why like things like Swamp Thing aren't coming back, because they poured so much money into it, but they're not making enough revenue to keep it going. So it's like
Swamp Thing seems to be a tax error. I don't think it's the actual. I don't think it's Warner Brothers itself. There was the whole thing about. I don't remember which Carolina Swamp Thing was shot in, but they were supposed to get a tax credit of about $40 million. That did not happen due to a paperwork error.
Oh wow.
The last figures I saw, these may not be correct, take it with a grain of salt, Warner Brothers took a hit of about $14 million.
Dang.
With the screwed up tax credits. Studio just decided to cut it loose.
Travis, do you use DC Universe? Did he die?
I hope not.
Travis, come back. Oh, he's muted.
Oh, I'm still here. Sorry, I forgot I was muted for a second. I just answered here like an idiot. Um, no, I don't use DC Online. I should be using DC Online because I'm really interested in the shows, but it's one of those things that I'm like, where is it going to end up when all these streaming services finally settle down? So I haven't really committed to it.
That's fair.
Thing is that when HBO Max was originally announced, it was going to be the exclusive streaming home of things like Batwoman and subsequent DC shows, but they have since relented.
Oh, have they?
Because they've confirmed that Doom Patrol will air simultaneously on both platforms. And Nancy Drew and Katie Keene are also going to be available on the CW app as well.
I keep forgetting that there's a new Nancy Drew show going on. I keep forgetting about that.
I love Nancy Drew way too much so that I mean, it looks like it's going to be a mess, but the CW is a mess.
Yeah.
Every CW show in some way or another is a cringy mess, and that's why we love them.
Yes, very much so. I mean, I think... what was I about to say? I lost my train of thought. I think the thing that bugs me the most is that, like, all I wanted from this app was for it to have the comics. But at the same time, it trying to be this, like, all-in-one package, I knew the minute they weren't trying to, like, cut the CW app down and put the CW shows on here, it was going to bite them in the ass. I knew that from the jump. And them keeping it as low as they are, and, like, to the point that now Disney is going to have $1 less, and they're probably going to go up higher too. Like, it's... I feel like if DC Universe doesn't, like, start tightening it up and getting things going the right way, it's probably going to end up being just the comics like Marvel Unlimited is, and then all the TV shows are going to be on HBO Max. Is that...
I think that's a distinct possibility, is that they're going to pull off the media of the TV and movies and just have it be comic books.
Yeah, because, like,
$7.99 is a fair price for the comic library.
Yeah, it's cheaper than Marvel Unlimited for like a year back. Like, it's not only taking a hit, but it's also, like, it's cheaper. So it's a very weird contradiction.
Here's a quote from what Jim Lee was saying. He says, the fact that their digital sales, kind of plateaued and we've hit a wall speaks a lot to different things. We need to reinvent what we're doing digitally. The subscription service that we're doing on the DC Universe platform is part of that. Better at marketing to people that know our characters, love our characters, but aren't buying comics. Me, that kind of translates to, okay, people are using the app, we love that, but they're not spending money on the comics.
Okay, but see, like, they should have seen this coming. That's where it bugs me, where it's like, you should have seen half of your digital numbers going to the app regardless. And not only that, I feel like this could have been a possibility to, like bring up what Marvel does, where, like, they link Marvel and Comixology so they can, like, transfer their digital sales. If there was a way to also buy digital books and also have them on the DC Universe app, like a thing, like sort of like a trade-off to keep the current books, like buy the current books, but also have the digital books, that would be a way to, like, mitigate some of your, like some of your, like loss there. Because that's what Marvel's doing, and they're still keeping Marvel Unlimited going, and Comixology does the same thing for Comixology Unlimited.
That.
Or you cut out. What did you say?
Does that. They have the DC app where it does link your DC books from Comixology, but that's not on DC.
We need to combine.
The DC app and the Marvel app are both powered by Comixology. For books, say, like, you go through a Comixology sale and you buy a bunch of trades, those are available on the DC Comics app. but that does not link to DC Universe because you don't own any of those books. That's a library.
There needs to be some synergy going on here.
Well, it's the same thing with the Marvel app and Marvel Unlimited, because Marvel Unlimited is a library, so you don't own those books.
Oh,
You're essentially
Marvel has different apps too. I thought they were the same damn thing. I'm kind of mad at myself now.
verify here. Yep, Marvel Comics and Marvel Unlimited, they're two different apps. So
I know that.
Publisher apps are powered by Comixology, and then you have the libraries. You're essentially, with Marvel Unlimited and for DC Universe, speaking strictly to the comics, you're paying for a library card. Exactly what it is that you're paying for the digital library, and you can download the books, you can read them offline, blah 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 blah.
We're like Matilda going in to buy our first library card.
So there's a service for the books you own, and then there's a service for the books you wear.
I mean, like, Travis, like, you being the casual person like on the table here when it comes to like this, not that way, you know what I mean, but like the person who's like,
I think you killed him.
Oh, not like that, but like the one who's like the 9 to 5, like working hard, like middle lower class, gotta feed the kid and whatnot. Like you already gotta like pencil in Disney for coming this November, like. What if this like only went to just being the comics similar to Marvel Unlimited? Would you even consider it?
Probably not. Because it's one of those things where I have to weigh it out. Where it's like, this would be cool to have, but am I going to use it? Kind of like having both iTunes and Spotify. Like I don't need more than one service that I'm going to do the same thing with. If that makes any sense.
Okay. Now, do you use Marvel Unlimited?
No, I don't use any of the online comic stuff, to be honest with you. I order all my stuff off of Amazon.
Oh, okay.
But see, I also find myself running into that trouble with DC Universe because I don't have Marvel Unlimited, to the shock of no one. But I have a really expansive trade library. So the things I would absolutely want to read on DC Universe, I already own in trade or single issue. I already own the physical copies. So that makes it difficult to weigh it out. Like, if I'm waiting for a doctor's appointment or something, like, sure, I'll pull up 52 on the app if I want to reread 52, but
because Mary will always want to reread 52.
Reenact 52. Like...
That would be amazing to like see you do like a live reading of 52
and have me single-handedly reenact all of 52.
Yes, that would be pretty cool. But no, like I get what you're saying. Because now, granted, for me, I like the convenience of it because especially if I don't own the issues or like I'm too lazy to get up and grab the trade off my shelf like my Teen Titans issues because I'm a Jeff Johns whore. Like I do appreciate the ability to just whip that out. That was the wrong phrasing for that. That like I do appreciate the ability to like actually like pull up it on the app and read it because like I only have like 5 of the volumes for Jeff Johns' run. And, like, it has everything on the app. Like, I remember when, like, DC was going through and uploading everything to the app when they announced they were going fully everything. And I was like, I don't see my Jeff Johns. Where is it? I need my Titans. I need my Young Justice. Where is it? But no, it frustrates me. Because, like, this is, like, the 3rd or 4th time we've had to talk about DC Universe when it comes to this. Like, because I wanted this to succeed. I wanted this to actually go well. But now Jim Lee's getting mad. Or, like, DC, like editorial, like, not editorial, but, like, DC executive is getting mad because of the lack of sales because of the streaming service. And I'm like, you should have saw that coming.
Yeah. I mean, and DC Digital has always been... as it were, because Marvel really leaned into their digital services because they offer the free copies. You get a free digital version of the book that you buy in print. Time that Marvel tried to take that away, there was massive backlash. they had taken that service away, and instead of getting a free copy of the book that you purchased, you got 3 random issues. 3 random first issues of whatever trades were coming out that week.
Bleh.
So, say if you bought like an issue of Avengers, you would get, the first issue of an Inhumans book, an X-Men book, and then like a Captain America book. And they tried to market it as, oh, you get 4 issues for the price of 1.
That's not how that works.
Which is... But if you buy multiple books, you don't,
That would be the most like annoying thing. Like if you bought like 2 books and then you get like a digital code for both of those books, like on the wrong book, like that would frustrate the living god out of me.
You've got the Inhumans, X-Men, Captain America book attached to all of your Marvel books, so then it just kind of becomes a waste, as it were. And Marvel Insider has the points program, and you get 200 points for every digital book you redeem. So not only did it cut down on the points, and a lot of people take those points seriously.
Like Mary.
I do and I don't. I have over 300,000, and I don't know how that happened. I have spent like none of them, but for whatever reason, it's kind of like just this weird collector's habit with me. Like, I have to collect them all.
That's hilarious.
Because I'm waiting, because someday they're going to post something that I'm absolutely going to love, and I'm going to be ready.
She's going to be
ready,
ladies and gentlemen. All right. Well, so the moral of the story is DC need to calm down. But speaking of DC, there was one topic that I forgot to talk about. That I forgot to have Mary put on the notes. Was so Travis.
We're not going to talk about Brexit.
Oh, we also got to talk about that, but we'll get this fun one out of the way first. Travis.
This giant red no, is that the fun one?
No, the digital conversation spiraled out into a couple of other things in the outline, but we don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
All right.
The giant red no came from Mary typing butts in the agenda. Yeah, I put you on blast. But no, so Travis, you and I have been playing DC Universe Online for Switch the past few days.
Yes.
It was recently released, and now granted, I took a break the past like 2 days. I only played it for like a day because like I bought Mario Maker too, so like I've been a little busy. But it was definitely a refresher to revisit this game after years of forgetting it existed.
That's the truth.
Like when this game first was created. Mary, did you ever play DC Universe Online? Briefly? Okay. Like, for anybody who doesn't know, DC Universe Online was pitched as, like, DC's, like, competition against, like, World of Warcraft. Like, or, I think the better, like, comparison would be, what was that? City of Heroes. Yeah, City of Heroes. So they go, like, you go into DC Universe Online, all the original designs were based off of Jim Lee's artwork. Like, it was the pre-New 52 DC Universe with all this cool stuff, and it was like almost like once the New 52 started, it became this time capsule of like new adventures and things to do and cool storylines and full voice acting. Like, some of the original DC animated people came back, but then some didn't, so it ended up being really awkward because you'd hear Kevin Conroy, and then you'd walk over and hear somebody else voicing Superman, and you're like, "You're not Superman." Like, it would bug the crap out of you. And I'm not gonna lie, when it first began, it was really cool. It had some issues where it would fluctuate between like pricing options, where for a while it was trying to be World of Warcraft with like the premium month-to-month thing, and then it bounced to free-to-play with like microtransactions. And now, from what Travis told me, it's trying to do both? Question mark?
Yeah, it's strange because I got on and I'm kind of a sucker because I've been playing this game since day one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to have a disc copy of this game.
I used to have the same.
And so between like the load screens, which are like light years better than they were when this game came out.
It was god awful.
Yeah, I'm so willing to shell out the $15 a month because there's so much DLC, but you have to like go in there and do the microtransaction for the in-game currency, and then you can start buying the DLC shit.
Yep.
And the problem with that is if you just do the $15 a month, you get all of it.
See, I want to see if you can link all of your accounts together, because if I can link my Sony account to my Switch account, everything will be so much better.
Oh man, if I could have my PlayStation account on the Switch, oh that would change it. That would change the game for me immediately. But I don't think that's the case though because I'm using the same email for both, to be
Oh,
honest.
dang.
Yeah.
Darn. Well, I'm definitely having fun revisiting this. I think Travis and I will have to link up for some fun here in a minute. Oh, Mary, you might have to go buy a Switch or pop on the Xbox One for it, because episode 4 of DC Universe Online, of like their premium edition, is DC Bombshells.
Oh, very nice.
Because I'm like scrolling through the website and I saw that and I was like, ooh, Mary's gonna be excited. So there's that. This has been a very dry week when it comes to comic books, but we still want to give you our recommendations for this past week. So, Mary, what is your recommendation for this past week in the world of comic books?
My recommendation for this past week is Future Foundation #1.
Yeah.
It's a new book, and it's not the first time we've seen Future Foundation.
No, not at all.
It is written by Jeremy Whitley, who I absolutely adore, and the art is done by Will Robson. First time in quite a while we have seen members of the Power Pack reunited.
Yeah.
Alex Power obviously has returned, and he enlists his sister Julie to help him lead this new group of Kids for the Future Foundation. And it looks like it's started out on a great note. It looks like it's going to be an awesome space adventure, and I'm excited.
With randomly Yondu, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Around, so
Like, they're trying to like MCU-ify Yondu, and I'm like, can we not? I am very excited that the Future Foundation is back, and I'm glad like a very good writer like Jeremy Whitley is on board for this. So yes, go pick that up at a local comic book shop. Travis, you salty, but you still recommending this book, and I want to understand why.
For all the wrong reasons.
Okay, so what is your recommendation for this past week?
It's gonna be Batman 76. This is it's if you've been on the internet and you read comics and you're on any internet comic book groups, it's the one where Gotham Girl beats the piss out of Captain Atom. And you heard me right. I said Captain Atom. That is just insane to me, but I can't lie. I can't lie. Tom King did put it in the canon back in Batman 5. That is a reality.
But
I think the reason
she have to be Captain Adam's ass though, like of all people.
Right, and I think that's my issue. As I would like to ask Tom King, when did Captain Atom become the measuring stick? Like we don't have a Sodom yacht laying around right over here, you know. But I don't know. I suggest reading it because you can see the shift in extremes that we're starting to see in the landscape of Batman right now, and whether you like this or not, it's gonna be a big deal in the Batman canon, and that's why I highly recommend it.
It's depressing that like we have to deal with this as being a part of the Batman canon.
All right, I'm gonna be honest with you. That is the truth, but I can't argue with the writer because it's uncouth. I have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
I will give Tom King that he does give Kite Man some time to shine. So like I will give him that. Like that's what I appreciate.
Okay.
Is that Kite Man got that time to shine.
That, and I'm finally seeing Thomas Wayne again after that like 7 issue of just machine bending of Bruce's mind. I really couldn't stand that.
Also, I love
but
that Tim Drake gives Damian what for. I love it.
yes, in the Robin costume.
Yes, yes. Barry, you can deal with it. I don't care if you don't like my boy.
I think one thing I don't know if it was in this Batman book, so maybe I'll bite my tongue and we'll talk about this after we get off the air.
Okay. But Mary, you can deal with it. My boy is greatness. Oh, did she go? Did she run away? Did she go away? Mary, come back. Let me talk about my boy Tim Drake.
I'm sorry, I was not listening. What?
Oh!
Oh!
Dang!
Oh!
It's like that?
Cold.
It's like that? For real?
I mean, unless my dad.
Oh. Okay. Something happened. Okay, cool. We'll talk about it after. My recommendation for this past week, I've been like sitting in my corner reading this book, not talking about it a lot because like it makes me feel like the pre-New 52 era of comics is back, but like it's not because like it's a weird mismatch of both. Where like the new 50, like the current canon and the old canon, because Tom Taylor has been writing this series called Deceased, where like the anti-life equation turns like half of the world, or the majority of the world, into zombies. And this past week we had Deceased. I hate that freaking. Oh, I hate it so much. Deceased. Deceased. like you couldn't put an apostrophe there, like for me, please. Like, come on now. But like, it's this heart-wrenching narrative of like everyone losing the people they love, and it's just like, it's painful. And then I feel like everyone just hates Captain Atom this week because Captain Atom gets his ass kicked in this book too, and it's depressing because like I love how inadvertently Ray Palmer is his downfall. It's a clever.
Are you serious?
It's a clever nod to an old story that Ray Palmer is his downfall, because Ray Palmer is a zombie and he crawled inside of Captain Atom and tore at his bloodstream until he became a zombie himself. So he's basically starting to like explode with zombie power. So it's very depressing. But you keep reading issue 4 and tragedy keeps striking. And like freaking Kendra, like Hawk Girl, gets like has to deal with what's going on. Mara and Wonder Woman have to deal with all of this. I think Tom Taylor like really likes Black Canary and Green Arrow because he freaking made Black Canary a Green Lantern, and I'm like, oh my god, yes, I'm all about this. And the story just keeps going on. And like Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy had to fight the last remnants of the Birds of Prey. Like Huntress, Catwoman, Batwoman, and Batgirl are all zombies now, and it's like, oh, that's painful. And then, like, thank you, Tom Taylor. Thank you, Tom Taylor, for recognizing that Anissa Pierce and Jennifer Pierce exist, because Black Lightning is a lot like is somehow a survivor, and he brings his daughters along with him to like with the rest of the heroes to like the safe haven of the Daily Planet. And I'm like, thank you for acknowledging they exist. This book may be super out of canon, but thank you for making that exist. And this issue has a very gruesome scene where like I'm kind of thankful for once Cyborg didn't say booyah, because damn, like the way he has to put somebody down is just damn. So thankfully for once he didn't say booyah, because that would be in poor taste. And this is the one time where I will say that I'm okay with Damien being given the gift from his father that he is given. This is the one time, because it's not in canon, and everybody else is dead who could pick up the costume. This is the one time. But it's very tragic, and it's sad, and I don't like it. But, I for anybody who wants a really good, like, heart-wrenching narrative about the DC Universe, I definitely recommend Deceased. Deceased. Read it. It's really good. It's on issue 4. It's very well done. I highly recommend it. Okay. So, Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Panel to Panel. We will be back next week with a very, very special guest that we will be announcing tomorrow on our Twitter at PTP_podcast. So please follow us on there to get that announcement. Also follow the website On Comics Ground on Twitter and Instagram at On Comics Ground. Check out the website every weekday for the latest previews, articles, and reviews of the latest comic books. Oh, had a little burp there. All right. So, Travis, what is your closing statement for episode 13?
Watch The Boys. It is awesome and gory.
Yes, it is very gory. You need to have a very strong stomach for some of the stuff in this show. But it's very good, and I also agree. Watch The Boys. Mary, what is your closing statement for episode 13?
I have one. Lois Lane number 2.
Read Lois Lane number 2? All right. Why didn't you recommend that book too?
Yep.
You're cutting out. Mary, come back. Come back. Okay. But read Lois Lane number 2 for Mary, despite communication issues. All right. And my closing statement, as always, is support your local comic book shop. We will be back next week. Please tune into our Twitter tomorrow for the latest announcement. Also, if you ever miss an episode of any of our podcasts, whether it be Blurred Grounds, Living on the Edge, which is coming back next Wednesday. Well, this week's Wednesday. Or Panel to Panel, or Seduction of the Innocent, or Aggressive Negotiations. Any of our shows, you can check out the archives on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/oncomicsground. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you folks next time. Peace out.